This is Blessing Salami introducing Woman at the Well.
Welcome to the Woman at the Well, a place of hope and healing.
Hello, everyone. Hello. I greet you according to your time. It's your girl, your lady, your woman, Blessing Salami. At the well this afternoon, it is getting close to spring, and I'm not getting too excited. It's not my thinking. But hey, thank you so much, viewers. Thank you, subscribers. Thank you, everyone. Bring those calls in. Keep contacting us, and we'll keep answering those questions. Thank you so much. Please love, like, and share. You're doing a good job. And I'm really grateful that this is touching somebody. And the Woman at the Well is going places by God's grace. Thank you so much. I won't fail again to appreciate my back office man. Thank you so much, Pastor Femi, for all you're doing. Thank you. Okay, this afternoon I am going to introduce a topic which is really concerning for women. It's concerning for everyone. Men don't really talk about their emotions, and I'm here mainly for women. So it is mental health. Yes, mental health. And people say, "Oh, Blessing, you talk about everything. Do you go through this?" And somebody said, Did you really go through all these things?" Yes, I did. I did go through them. But there's always a way you put on the smile on your face, and people think, "Oh, everything is rosy and flowery." No, I did go through them. And if you think you need to know more, please give me a call. If you're still not satisfied, they're not made up stories. No, they're not. Mental health is real. It is as real as your physical health. And why do we sideline this topic? Why? If you can say I've got a headache, why can't you say I feel depressed? Why can't you say I feel anxious? Why can't you say, "Oh, I don't know how I'm feeling. Am I feeling mad? What's going on with me? Why is my behavior erratic?" Well, I want to start from my roots again. It's good. Even our Lord Jesus, who we follow, has a root. It is good to start from somewhere. I'm a British-born Nigerian, in the sense that my root is definitely Nigerian, but I was born in this country. But I was taken back as a child, and I grew up mainly in Nigeria. But I think my problems with mental illness started as a result of that cultural shift, cultural change. And please don't say it can never be. Yes, it can. Anything is possible when it comes to mental health. Yes, anything can be a trigger. And I want to start with us returning. And you'll say, "Oh, you were only 4." Yes, I was only 4, but I still remember those things like yesterday. And you might argue, but I got a 4-year-old who can recall things that happened a week ago. Even if we say, "Oh, Mommy, yesterday something happened," it might be talking about a week ago or a month ago, but yeah, I still recall those things. And one thing I do recall that affected my mental health, people, is us returning to the UK and going as a child, the cultural shock, the issue of language barrier, because I had a proper Northern England accent and compared to the Nigerian one. So then there was an issue of me now going to school. The environment, obviously, going back, wasn't the best, I'll say. But I remember going into school, and I had a different accent compared to the rest of the children. And that was the beginning of my problem. Now, remember, I didn't have anyone to confide in. So that was the start of the whole issue for me. And I remember my dad asking a family member to look for school, and they did not do me a favor at all, because instead of looking for something obviously that was suitable, they did something, I think, out of spite. And that lady remains very vile till this day. If she's watching, if somebody related to her is, it is what it is. So this woman took me, and against my mother's wish, obviously, to this school called the Community Primary School. I grew up in Port Harcourt, and she took me to this community primary school where children, anywhere, you could come from anywhere, no sandals if possible, nothing. And I started getting bullied, by different people because they were not understanding what I was saying. And teachers, even though they admired me, I had to conform to the pressure that was going on then in school. So what I found out was when I said something, it would be misinterpreted for something else, and there was no one else to talk to. I remember my mom was helpless, obviously, because number one, she was just coming back and didn't have the say in marriage, as at that time a young, that's at the talk for another day, what early marriage can actually result to. But this woman who was a guardian, in fact, she's my uncle's wife, was the one they would report to. And instead of her to actually see my point of view, I remember her hitting my head and all that stuff. And because mom was busy trying to make ends meet, and dad looking for a job, and everybody was trying to integrate back into the Nigerian society and what have you. I would finish from school being bullied because of my language and everything, and how different I looked, into her home, the same aunt. Now, she had a sister. A younger sister. And what her younger sister did, her younger sister was way older than me. So say I was in primary 1, she was in primary 6. I don't want to mention any names, but obviously if they're watching, they will know. She'll take me on, and she did molest me. That was her way of punishing me, and as embarrassing as it was, I couldn't open up to anyone. I was under their guardianship. That was away, mom was away. So it was a very difficult situation where this lady, I had to do everything she said. Now, because I didn't have anyone to confide in, I'll stay there Monday to Friday, obviously, with her after school till evening when my parents will come to pick me up. And I get bullied there and I get bullied at home. And as someone who obviously came back from another culture altogether, there were things I couldn't eat, but I was forced to eat them. It was just a lot going on, and I had them all inside of me. There was nobody to talk to, until I found myself being so angry, so depressed, so frustrated. As soon as I saw her, I just had that fear in me that what was going to happen now. And when I mean molestation, I do mean molestation in terms of teaching me how to masturbate. And she will sit in front of me and she'll tell me this and tell me that. And I just took all those in as a little child of 6, 7. And that was going on until, I would say 5, 6. Then at the age of 7, I want to say 7, my mom had this aunt who came to visit, and she was like, "So, what's going on? You know, in Nigeria they'll say Oyibo. So, what's going on with this Oyibo child? Where is she schooling? What's happening? Why is everything just looking the way it's looking?" So, I think my mom then cried out to her and said, "This is what's going on. If she can come in and out." Oh God, yeah, but the problem is the distance of the school. Now, if you could know Port Harcourt very well, the distance would be. So we were living in a community called Rumeme, and I had to go into Borokiri area to go to school. It is called Seabed Primary School. I'm giving my roots just so those who are in doubt will actually think, okay, she actually saying the truth. So my aunt then said, mom's aunt obviously said, "Oh, it's far away, but we can work things out. So what will happen is this, instead of just forget about this primary school because this is damaging this child. We'll go out. You bring her halfway, put her on the bus, bring her halfway. Then my children who are going to Seabed Primary School will pick her up from there and take her to school. And then in the evening when you finish, because my children also will bring her back, and then they'll stay in Diob, and then you'll bring her back halfway through, and then you can pick her up from there." So, remember, I've already been damaged 2 years already before this whole thing was going on. Then it got to that point where that arrangement was made, and I started Seabed Primary all over again. Then another form of bully started, and I remember this like it was yesterday, where as a monitor of the class, I was asked to, I don't know about you, or let's just put down the names of noisemaker. When I come back, I'll sort the noisemakers out, and I wrote the names of noisemaker down, and whatever happened, I don't know, but the issue escalated, and I was accused of hitting another child, and the child was actually scalded by cane. Now, it was obviously the teacher who had done that, but who am I to actually say I didn't? Who am I? So every child then was like, okay, she's dangerous, she's that, and I was isolated from that. And I lived under isolation so much that even PE, physical education, I couldn't see myself doing that. I was so isolated from school. Now, my father, being the military type of father, obviously didn't know, and I couldn't open up to say this is what's going on. So everything growing up was just inside of me. Deal with it kind of thing. And there was nobody to talk to. So I had that trigger or those issues there built up, but nobody to talk to. Then it happened that my oldest cousin was finishing primary school, and was left with two of us who were of same age, and then we had to, so I didn't have to, obviously I've grown a little bit. And this particular day I lost my transport fare, so I had to walk from, if you know Port Harcourt, Superboard to Mile 3 to a friend's place, and her father helped then to, oh my God, it was something else at home. I was beaten and smacked like a thief. In fact, I was accused of using my transport fare for something, for food, sweet, whatever. And the more I tried to say no, it wasn't. It was just, oh God. In fact, that day I remember this curse. My father said that day, he said, any day you go out of, he said, you go to school and you don't return straight to the house, he He said, make motor jam you. In other words, have an accident and die. I remember it like yesterday, and this fear gripped me. It gripped me. Oh my God, I cried all night. I wept. I cried. I cried. And woe betide you don't dare go to my father. And my kids now will say that you don't like me. Mommy, you don't like me. Who are you to stand before him? And my mom obviously was like, wife, you know. So I lived with that many years. I lived with that fear that wherever I go, that curse was going to follow me. It was really bad, and I walked in that fear until I got into high school, which is secondary school. And obviously, if you followed my video, you will notice what I said, that I got so much afraid because of too many curses, too many. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to rebel. For instance, I go somewhere, I haven't done anything, and you accuse me of doing it. All you know is boys. And for God's sake, I didn't even know anything about what you're talking about. So when I rebelled, it was like, do your worst. If whatever is going to happen can happen. Okay, so what am I trying to say, people of God, women out there? What am I trying to say? How we raise our children does matter. How we perceive children, how we treat our children can have a negative or positive effect on their mental health. Do children have mental health? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Especially the girl child. Remember that the girl goes through a lot of changes, you know, from a girl and then into a teenager, and then they want to know what they're curious to know. I've got a little boy now who wants to know everything, so he will ask you so much questions, even when you're so tense. You must answer that question, and that's the girl child. My daughter was like that as well, and those questions are not because they are nosy. They are curious to know, and if we don't give them the rights, if we don't show them the right path, it will be mesmerizing for them, because what happens is the brain, whilst it's trying to develop, will have so many questions in there unanswered. So many questions, and it'll be tough for them now because they've gone past the stage where they want to learn. Then they will start making mistakes. Then they will start acting up behaviors that are unexpected, or what we call unacceptable. But then, have you asked yourself, what upbringing did I give? What did I provide for this child to help them mentally? It is good, especially our culture. Please, let's do better. I'm not pointing out anything wrong, but let's do better in shouting at the child when the child is talking. Sometimes we do that out of stress, out of annoyance, out of frustration. But try to listen to the child. You know, I did say how it all started. If for any reason I was listened to, I don't think I would have gone the way I did. Thank God for God. But my experience with my mental health, oh God, it was nothing to write home about. Still in recovery, still recovering from it, you know, still on medication, on therapy and what have you. But it took a while, and I will point out every single thing that I can remember, or every single experience that I can actually remember that created a bad mental health for me, or bad mental illness for me. I will on this platform share my experiences and my story as we go along. I just pray that someone hearing me today will, you know, start to think about healing, start to think about other ways of bringing up children, start to think about, okay, so my child actually can go through mental health. Because talking about it now, I remember some days I would just cry myself to sleep at night. I remember some days I just want to fight. I remember sometimes I just don't want to eat. And it's all down to mental health. You cry for no reason. Try to come down to the child's level. Healing is on the way for you. Healing is something that takes a gradual process. And for me to start talking about it without my handkerchief or without my tissue is a sign that, yeah, I'm getting there. So I've struggled with it over years. I won't tell you my age, but I'll be somewhere in my 40s, and I have struggled with all my life. So healing is available, healing is sure, as long as we use the right tools. And I pray for you today that your mental health will be intact. And even if you have struggled with it, that God will, you will find healing through the words of God and through, please, I am here to talk. And if I can't handle it, God can. And there are other people I can signpost you to that can help. But please don't bottle things up. And I pray that, this is the start of this journey. And for the woman, for the girl child, for the mother, on our mental health. Very vital. There's no mental health without a cause or a trigger. God bless you.
The Woman at the Well, sharing your story and glory with Blessing Salami.